we know that quite a number of countries are already practicing the free senior high school education. Are we copying their blueprint and then just implementing them, or we are looking at our own conditions as per what we have in terms of resources before we go ahead to implement? Let's go now and look at which countries are already working or having the system of free education, and then which of them are, which country you would say is benefiting from that. So here, these are the countries that are already implementing or practicing that. Trinidad and Tobago, Fiji, Sri Lanka, Mauritius, Canada, and these are all Western countries. So as it stands now, no African country is implementing a free, progressively or totally free educational system. And Ghana is likely to be the first in that regard. Also, looking at the previous administrations and the previous academic years that we had, these are the total number of pupils who qualify and go to the public and private schools. For the senior high school, we have 562 public senior high schools in the country. Currently, we have 301 private senior high schools in the country, a total of 863. And this 863 is minus the ones that government has built, or the ones that government promised, the former administration under President Mahama promised to build. And we have, for the technical schools, we have 120 public technical schools, 65 private technical schools, a total of 185 public technical schools. And so if you sum all of these up, plus the ones that government has built, we're talking about those 200 free senior high schools, then we are looking at excess of 682 government schools. And we are very sure that these are institutions that are going, because they are public, they are going to be absorbing the students or the pupils. And they are the ones government is saying they're going to be having free senior higher education. In the meantime, the Ghana Education Service has welcomed government's decision to implement the free senior high school education. Speaking exclusively to TV3 News, the Public Relations Officer for the Ghana Education Service, Reverend Jonathan Bete, said that the initiative will increase enrollment and is confident that government will put in the necessary measures, especially infrastructure, at all the centers to cater for the increase.
We are believing that the statement free is free, except that parents will be a little bit responsible by buying chobos and few other items for their children. Let's pray that when we get there, if the continuing students are also involved, we will let the public be aware. And I know very well that the government wouldn't like to isolate the continuing students as far as they are also part of that academic year. We're hoping that they will also be on board. If the Ministry of Education comes out with a policy or from the government, management of Ghana Education Service welcomes and then implement it. Implementation of this free is to make sure that we liaise with the Ministry of Education. What is expected to be given to the schools are collected from Ministry of Finance, that we also channel whatever check or whatever form is going to take to our headmasters and school authorities. Now, when we talk about capitation grant, when we talk about feeding grant, when we talk about whatever thing that involves money, it is the government who pays Ghana Education Service. And then we also write a check and submit to school authorities, which we believe that very soon, this is taking effect from 16th, 17th academic year, we believe in that we will do that and make sure that we liaise with the government in whatever is expected of Ghana Education Service to do.
All right, so what we are going to do now is to take a look at what is already free. Under the Mahama administration, they were also doing free senior higher education of a sort. They called it progressively free. And this is a document we've been able to pull from the website of the Ghana Education Service. So it's the 2016-2017 academic year. And if you just follow me, a number of these items here, and I'm going to mention them. We have examination fees, entertainment, library fees, SRC dues, sports fees, culture fees, co-curricular activities, ICT, national service, national science and math, science development levy, and utilities. These items are free, totally free. Now, Nana Akufo-Addo, who is the current president of Ghana, also said they're going to be doing free senior high education. And a number of things he mentioned are already free in this system. So the president talked about library fees. Library fees is here. It's already free. He talked about science center and then computer lab. We have science development and, say, ICT here. So probably the same. They are also going to be free. He mentioned examination fees. Now, examination fees is also up here. That is free already. Utility fees. Utility is here. It is also free. What else did he mention? Free textbooks. That is in a different category. So if you look at these already free items under the Mahama administration, Nana Akufo-Addo has mentioned about 5 of them that he's saying are also going to be free. So does that mean that the ones he didn't mention are going to be costed and students would have to pay for it? Or does it mean that the ones that are already free will remain free, but then he's going to he just mentioned a few as an example. We are just asking a few questions. When you come down here, these are the ones that, under the Mahama administration, were compulsory, the general fees, which was admission fee, feeding fee, maintenance fee, cumulative record. These ones were being paid for by parents, but Nana Akufo-Addo mentioned admission fee. So it means that this is going to be free. Whether you're a boarding student or a day student, it's going to be free under the Akufo-Addo administration. He mentioned feeding. He said feeding is also going to be free, but we have feeding here, and feeding is actually quite a substantial amount, especially for day and boarding students. So if Nana Akufo-Addo says that feeding will be free, he actually mentioned free meal. If he said free meal, he didn't say free meals. And we know that the feeding fee here was for breakfast, lunch, especially for the day students, and then dinner inclusive for boarders. So if he said that free meal, is it 1 meal, or he's looking at the 3 course for a day? We are just asking questions. We're waiting for details. And when it comes further down, these ones compulsory are being paid. But Nana Akufo-Addo said that the textbooks, we have the textbook here, which was being paid for. So if the president, Nana Akufo-Addo, is saying that textbooks would be free, it's likely that this cost of 45 is going to be taken off or absorbed by government. But we are just asking questions, and what we will do is that we are all going to keep our fingers crossed and wait for the full detail of how government intends to implement the free senior high school policy. And when we do get those, we would ask some questions as well, and we'll make it known to you. This is Midday Live on TV3. Our job is to ask the questions and get you the answers.